morning, and welcome to the 445 Productive Through Joy show with your host and your boy, Dr. Michael Datcher. The show airs each weekday morning, hella early AF at 4:45 a.m. here on YouTube's Michael Datcher channel, and 4:45 p.m. on Facebook Livecast. Today, we're talking about truth. There is a lowercase truth, which is your particular truth, and there's what we call the uppercase truth, what people oftentimes in vernacular culture, meaning what I would call global vernacular culture, call universal truth. And we'll be discussing that distinction, but also how living your own truth and also just telling the truth at a universal level can deeply enhance your productivity. So let's just dive into the topic. Again, you can go to productivethroughjoy.com to see about us. We speak to groups, schools, and organizations about being productive through joy. Let's dive in. So guys, today we're talking about a concept that's very controversial. If you know, I'm reading now the book Black Athena, which is a book by Martin Bernal, the great scholar who wrote this incredible 3-part series about the African kind of foundation of what people call Western civilization. In the early 17th and 16th centuries, it was, of course, obvious that because of the heightened level of sophistication and civilization in Egypt, that Egypt was one of the most profound, it was the most influential region in the world. People would travel to go to the universities of Egypt. And it's also clear that the much of the foundational elements of Egypt, meaning architecture, as they are the creators of architecture, philosophy, etc., had an incredible influence on the folks who, of course, came to study there. So I mentioned this book to say that because of racism, largely, but also just ego and competition over the course of centuries, because that perspective, of course, was the dominant perspective up until the 1830s, 40s, when the so-called Aryan model began to take place, and through German scholars in particular, began to diminish, attack Egypt, and say literally that, in fact, Europeans created philosophy. Egypt was a late coming to creating these things, or Egypt was an infantile level of civilization, and the Greeks and Romans and the Western folk, the white folk, the European folk perfected it. I mean, it's really, reading this book is insightful and infuriating, of course. The point is that they were lying. And that lie reminded me of the power of telling the truth, right? This idea that you can lie without some type of a penalty. And in the long run, the truth will prevail, right? So I know that in business, so as we segue back to business, and if you're an entrepreneur in particular, there's many, many ways you can fudge and cheat and do things what I would call the wrong way. But in the long run, that will always come back to bite you, right? So you want to be, which is point one, you want to be in the habit of telling yourself the truth, right? If you can have that foundational, perspective at telling yourself the truth, that gives you a grounding to tell other people the truth. I've been involved in some really deep personal stuff with people in my life who are not telling the truth, certainly. And the impact has just been really damaging on the people who we share and who we have lives together with. Just watching the impact has been really very troubling. And it's a reminder to me that and I've got my own problems, I'm sure. I know I do, in fact, but I do tell the truth. I know about that. I got that one down. And I'm happy I have that, because when you have to lie, I mean, I just think about this a lot. There are people who lie and that's just what they do. And we've all known people like that. They'll just lie, and that their life is a lie, right? And so I would hate to be that person, because that person is always hiding, and that person is always, they really can't be comfortable, because when you lie, people are going to find out eventually. You have to worry about that, or, it just creates it's just a bad way to live. It creates anxiety. It makes you not be able to trust other people, because, if you're lying, you think, oh, they're probably lying too. And so you begin to be really distrustful of people. It's just, and those people, I'm sure, as I think about it now, have major health issues, or those will be coming, because you have anxiety. When you're a liar, anxiety is a part of lying, right? Mental dis-ease is a part of being a liar, because you're lying, so you have to do all these machinations to make it right, and to explain yourself and to defend it. It's just so. That's not how you can be productive. It impacts people around you. You don't want to be that individual, right? It makes you unhappy. It just creates so many problems in your life when you're a liar, right? You don't want to be about that in your personal life. And as you reject that lying lifestyle and you pursue the truth, what happens is that it creates peace, because you're living not perfect, but you're living truthfully, right? You're following what you know is right. And you're also able to be more generous and gracious to other people, because you have enough capacity, because you're not trying to cover up lies and do all this running around, and it's just a terrible way to live your life. And then you're able to use that extra space to be of service to people, to encourage people, to be about love and justice, because you have some head and heart space cleared up. If you're a liar, you're always looking to cover. You're always worried about being discovered. You're always doing this work to make yourself, to pretend, to create this whole world that you're not lying. That's therapy. Therapy can be good, but getting people to tell you that what you did is okay. It's just so much that goes into the people who were liars to their lives. You don't want to be that. It just, and those people just don't fare well. That's fact. I've known people like that. It's just really, but the point is that it hopefully makes us think about, wow, okay, that's an option, a way to live. And also when we see people lying in the short term, having benefits, either in our own lives or in the world at large, lying can help you in the short run. It can get you many things in the short run. In my experience, though, in the long run, being about the truth is what will make you more productive, which goes into point 2. When you can link the truth to productivity, wow, you have an interdependent type of approach, meaning, okay, although I'm living truth in my own personal life, I know that's going to somehow impact my ability to be more productive in terms of my financial situation, in terms of my family, in terms of my health. Because when you lie, you get anxiety when you lie, because you're covering stuff up. You're creating problems in people's lives, because liars create problems for people, because people can't trust you, and you can't trust. That creates anxiety in people around you. All these things happen, right? And so you want to avoid that. You learn that when you can tell the truth, you can see the impact of what you're doing in your personal life to what you're doing in the lives of other people, but also in your own kind of professional life as well, which goes into point 3. Although it does seem like being a liar, a cheat, can get you into the presidency, and it can actually. In the long run, it can also get you in the pokey. I don't want to get too deep about President Trump or where he's about to go, but he's a good example. Just the liar in chief. Just the chaos he caused this country. It's extraordinary. This has been. He's Putin's dream. The division he sowed, the anxiety, he just destroyed the greatest economy in the world. This dude was like, people dying of COVID. He was ignoring the COVID piece. It was like people losing their lives, families. This dude was devastating and lied the whole way through. And he just one kind of an example that we know about, because he's in pop culture. He's the president. We see the impact of lying, that lying will get people killed. So I'll leave it at that. Boom! Tell the truth. Thanks for listening, guys. We'll see you this afternoon at 4:45 p.m. Let's talk about it and be about it. Deuces.